Yo, what's the deal, family? Welcome back to another SOS podcast. I am Cameron. This is my beautiful wife, Erin.
Slash baby mama.
Slash baby mama.
Hello.
What's up, babe?
Oh, nothing. Just, new parents.
Not pregnant?
I know, not pregnant. I was so happy to not be pregnant.
Okay.
So eager. How are you? What are we sipping on?
I'm cool. This is your first cocktail since December.
My first cocktail on the show. I've had a cocktail since I've been unpregnant.
Yeah, on the show.
Yeah. So before I was drinking raspberry leaf tea every episode because I was trying to get her out. And now I can drink a cocktail.
It's up.
Okay, so what is this? My tolerance is on 0, by the way.
This is a limoncello martini.
Oh my gosh. And limoncello is already strong. Ooh, it's good.
It's good.
What's the difference between this and a lemon drop?
This has gin in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty similar. Also got it garnished with the dehydrated lemon wheel and some thyme.
Yeah, it looks so
you got
cute.
The thyme fragrance when you're sipping.
I have to take that slow because my tolerance is so low now that I haven't drank in so long, which I'm fine with. I honestly didn't miss drinking that much while I was pregnant. It was once I got to the bitter end where I just was over everything. Like it wasn't even, I was like, okay, I got to get her out of here. So we're going to talk about the birth story first, since I can have a sip of something. This or that.
Okay.
Wine or cocktail?
Dang. Right now,
I mean, your cocktails with Cam. So
I know.
It's kind of hard to not say cocktails. But, I mean, you could not say cocktails.
Well, I say cocktails because I enjoy the experience of how they're crafted.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, in the stage that we're currently in, I think easing you in, I'm not mad at a glass of wine.
Yeah.
You actually had some wine without me.
Yeah.
The other day when we took. Wait. Okay. After we took the baby out and she had a glass of wine.
Yeah. I would say cocktails. I'm just naturally gonna go for a cocktail before I go for wine. However, I like wine more in like the cold months. I don't know why. It's just like
because it's warming. It's like a vibe. It's chill.
I like the fire to be lit. A nice glass of wine, like some popcorn or some homemade cookies or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love a good cocktail, so I'm gonna go cocktail. But let us know what you guys would pick.
Yeah.
Okay, so exciting. We get to talk about our labor and delivery experience and also share the baby's name. So yeah, let's get into it.
What's first?
Okay, let's share labor and delivery first.
Okay.
And then we'll share her name at the end.
Okay.
Okay, so oh my gosh, where do we even start? Okay, I know where we start. That Friday.
Yeah.
I had a doctor appointment at my last doctor appointment, and she checked my cervix to see if I had dilated at all. At this point, I am 39 weeks and 4 days. So, I still nothing had happened. And I'm like, we are walking 3 miles a day, doing curb walks, like the whole 9. And Cameron was holding me accountable. Like you were making sure we went for walks every single day, pretty much most of the pregnancy, but for sure the 3rd trimester. Like
the wintertime, obviously that was
the wintertime.
As soon as the weather broke, we were outside every day.
Unless it was raining or something. But and I was trying to go to the gym and stuff, but after a while, once I got so big, I'm like, all right, this is
I just wanted to keep you moving. I knew that you weren't going to really go to the gym.
Yeah.
I think you went literally a handful of
times.
And I honestly don't know how successful those gym sessions were. But I think that in general, pregnant or not pregnant, just some movement and walking is
such good exercise for especially when you're pregnant.
And we've been doing it every day since we've been married outside of the winter months.
Yeah. And overall, I had a very smooth pregnancy. I did have one big hiccup, which was I tested positive for gestational diabetes, which we didn't share throughout the pregnancy because I wasn't trying to have a whole bunch of unsolicited advice. But that was the biggest surprise because we live a pretty balanced life, a pretty balanced diet, and it was just like, what?
It's
Even
like
my doctor was like, really?
Yeah. Everybody was like, really?
Yeah, but I mean, it was fine because like I was just diet controlled. So I met with a dietitian and like I had certain things that I could and couldn't eat, or I had to eat in moderation. And it was fine. Like it really forced me to really prioritize nutrition during especially that last leg of pregnancy when it's so easy to just kind of like binge eat.
And I think that was honestly the biggest learning curve was that you actually learned how to eat because you snack and it's not even bad snacks. It's just you eat like apples and almond butter all the time. Yeah. And that will fill you up.
Yeah. Or just like a big bowl of watermelon and like
instead of protein,
like an actual meal like with protein. And
so I think Aaron really learned, as well as myself. I think we both learned how to eat properly just going forward. Even though we had a pretty good diet in general, but I think that it's going to take us to the next level with our health goals in general. But,
yeah. So I had my last doctor appointment. Nothing was happening. But at that appointment, I was 4 centimeters dilated. So we were like, oh, my God, we were so excited because my appointment right before then, I was no centimeters dilated.
Okay. Hold on. Now with a baby, it's all these little small, I don't want to call it interruptions, but she needs a little bit of attention. So it's about her time to eat at this time. We tried to hurry up and squeeze this pod in. But we're going to make this one quick, just a we're back moment in the labor and delivery.
I'm going to have to pick her up. Okay, so that day I was 4 centimeters, so we were so excited. I got a membrane sweep, which basically helps induce the labor. And I started having like more Braxton Hicks contractions like frequently. They were like every 5 to 8 minutes, basically. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going into labor today. Like I'm 4 centimeters. Like, and at that point, like I was 4 centimeters, but I wasn't feeling any contractions before I got the membrane sweep. I was feeling Braxton Hicks, which are basically practice contractions, but they were very spaced out. So after the membrane sweep, they were like regular. So I'm timing them. I'm like, wow, this doesn't hurt at all. I'm like, oh, hold on. Okay. Let me get her. It's like she knows when I'm like, oh, let me get her. Should I just pick her up?
Just get her.
Okay.
Because you're going to keep stopping anyway.
Okay. Babe, pick up where I left off.
All right. So long story short, that Friday, she was 4 centimeters.
You can't make it too short, though.
I'm just saying, like,
okay, get to the meat. Okay.
Yeah, we got it. So she's 4 centimeters. She started having Braxton Hicks, bigger contraction Braxton Hicks. It wasn't like what she had normally been having for like the last month and a half or whatever.
You're talking about on Monday?
No, on Friday.
Oh, on Friday.
And these they were happening like quick, like she said, 5 to 8 minutes.
But they didn't hurt.
They didn't hurt. So she's like, oh, this is gonna be a breeze.
Yeah,
this
and I had read this book called Supernatural Birth about like pain-free birth, and I was like, wow, thank you, Jesus. Like. This is my supernatural
So we're like, oh yeah, bet today is the day. This is a Friday.
Yeah.
We were like, today is the day. Nothing happens Friday. We get to Saturday. Nothing happens Saturday. And we're like, we get to Sunday and we're like, okay. Well, at this point, no baby. So we're like, okay, let's just go back to regular life, a regular schedule.
Yeah.
And
because, let me just interject. Okay. Because at that point, I was scheduled to be induced on my due date, which was that Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we were like, whatever, at least I'm dilated. Like, if I have to get induced, it's not the end of the world. We're just going to go back to, like, regular life tomorrow because we're tired of anticipating her coming and nothing's happening.
Right, yep. So we get to Monday, and this is where things took a turn.
Start picking up.
So like we said, we went back to regular life. I get up, I go to the gym. I get through my warm up and I start my first exercise. Yeah. And Aaron calls.
And then I call. Okay. And then
she's like,
okay, let me tell them what I said. So I'm on the phone with my mom that morning, but when I was in bed getting up, I started feeling something and I'm like, okay, I kind of felt a little crampiness. But I was so turned off by the fact that nothing happened on Friday. So I'm like, I'm just not even going to time these. I'm just going to see if things pick up. So I had a contraction in the bed, and then I had another few more within like 30 minutes, and I was on the phone with my mom, and I was starting to mute her. And I'm like, okay, these actually they feel different than how the Braxton Hicks felt.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, shoot, this could be it. So I called Cameron, and I'm like, okay, babe, like, I just had maybe 3 contractions. They were pretty spread out. Like they're not like coming in super hard and strong, but
it was like pre-labor.
Yeah, but I'm like, but just a heads
They're
up.
different.
Yeah, this is not the same.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you can finish your workout. Yeah. It's fine, but just giving you a heads up.
So I get through 1 set, and then I'm on set 2, and before I get up 5 reps, I'm like, you know what? I'm out. I get up. I actually ran out. I'm like, I went to the locker, got my coat. I don't know if anyone saw me. I'm pretty sure they did, but they're like, whatever, probably. I'm sure. I'm like, you would have thought it was like game time right now, because in my mind, I'm like, what if this is right now? And I'm 15 minutes away, so I don't want to miss this. If this is something.
Yeah.
So we get to her. I get home. We go to the chiropractor.
Yeah. And I'm also muting my mom on the phone because I'm like, I don't want her to get too excited. She did her bird call like on Friday telling everyone I was probably going to go into labor that weekend. And I was like, I'm not telling anybody
she said
until
that night, I think, right?
We are. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not telling anybody until we know for sure that I'm actually in labor.
Yeah.
So, so we went about the day regular. And like at that point, the contractions were like every 10 to 12 minutes. They weren't like painful, but I definitely had to kind of breathe through them a little bit. And then we went to the chiropractor.
Then we went to Target.
Yep. And then we went to Target. And at Target is when I was like, okay, they're getting a little bit more intense. So we were in the aisles and I'm stopping. And like before we went in the parking lot, I'm like, wait, babe, if contractions coming, I got to breathe through this before we can walk to the car type thing. So I'm like, okay, things are picking up. And that was the difference between that day and the Braxton Hicks before. Like they never intensified or like they just stayed painless basically. So
we get home from Target. I think we were supposed to make one other stop, but we didn't for whatever reason. We get home. I don't know. We're like walking around. This is like 2:00.
Yeah.
3:00 comes and like we're like, oh,
it's picking
this
up.
It might be today.
Yeah.
3:30 comes. We call her mom. We're like, oh yeah, we finally told her, we're like, we think this might be today. Can you bring us some food before we go to the
hospital? Yeah.
So 3:45 comes, and Aaron's like, oh, it's literally 9 minutes. They are 9 minutes apart. But she went upstairs. So we were in the living room. Mm-hmm. And by this time, I took my shower. I got on my hospital clothes. So I'm like, if it's game time, I'm going to be ready first. Mm-hmm. So we go upstairs, and they like went further apart because she like sat on the bed. Yeah, which you're not supposed to, I guess, because it slows it down.
Yeah. Whatever. So before when we got home from Target, they were like 7-ish minutes apart. When we got upstairs, they were starting to space out like 12, 9 to 10 to 13 minutes apart. And I'm like, okay, we ain't doing this. So
we go back downstairs.
Yeah, we went back downstairs and I got on the bouncy ball.
And they picked up.
And they just picked up immediately.
So I want to say like 4:00 active labor started.
Yeah. And I went upstairs.
I was like, babe, go take a shower.
Yeah.
And the water in the shower, because of the warm water, this is when things got literally intense.
Yeah, I'm like call the doctor.
She was like, this hurts.
I'm like, this hurts.
So I called the doctor. The doctor's like, I can hear her like, okay, are you guys gonna leave in like the next hour or so?
She's like, don't rush. You don't have to rush. She's like, I want her water to break here at the hospital. But like, I was like, get me to the hospital.
Man, listen, this was happening so
And that was one of the things that I was kind of concerned about. I'm like, how will I know when to go to the hospital? Some people say like go every 5 minutes or when they're every 5 minutes for 1 hour, 1 minute each. And my cousin, I have multiple OBGYNs in my family, and they were like, you're going to know when to go to the hospital. You will feel safer at the hospital than you feel at home, And I think that was like a good gauge for me because at a certain point, I'm like, I need to go to the doctor.
But I feel like when you got there, that you did kind of let your guard down. That's when it really started to hurt.
Yeah,
because I don't think they were hurting.
They were hurting.
I'm saying they were hurting, but when you got to the hospital, I feel like you're like, oh, bet.
They were super painful at the hospital. Like everything was just intensifying as time went on.
Like by the hour, really. Yeah. So we get to the hospital. This is around 5:30. She's in triage at 5:30. Getting her vitals checked, all that. Right before we get admitted, that took about 30 minutes. Right before we got admitted, they checked her cervix again. She was 5 centimeters. So we get to the hospital.
Yeah, but wait. I was 5 centimeters, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I have been laboring like this because by the time we got to the hospital, my contractions were like 3 to 4 minutes apart.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm only 1 more centimeter since Friday.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at that point, the contractions were very, very painful.
Yeah.
And they were like, we can prep you for an epidural before I got to my delivery room. And I was like, well, I was trying to see how long I could go without getting the epidural. And so I was like, well, it's fine. Like, I'm going to see how long I can, go. We got to my delivery room at like maybe 6?
Yep.
And our doula was there and we were bouncing on the ball.
You were cool for like another 30 minutes. And then after that,
they were coming. My contractions were flying.
They were coming. Yeah, they were like,
I couldn't even catch my breath.
So she was like, epidural. And then I think I went to the car for something. And when I got back, she was like, babe, I'm sorry. I got to get the epidural.
It's like.
And I'm thinking like, I didn't say you couldn't. But okay.
I was like, I need it now.
Yeah. And that's the only thing she can like focus on from like 6:30 to 7. She got the epidural around like 6:45. And then she got checked and she was 6 centimeters. Then in the 7 o'clock hour, she was 7 centimeters. Then the 8 o'clock hour, she was 8 centimeters. And by this time, we're like, okay, let's switch you around. Let's see if we can get the baby in a position to come on down.
And my epidural was like on one leg. Like it was, I won't say it was in one leg, but it was more, one of my legs was really, really numb. And then I could start to feel the other leg. And so I was starting to feel my contractions a little bit on one side. And I was like, I don't like that. I don't want to feel nothing. So we were trying to get me on one side so that the medicine could drip down.
Over,
that was not good because the baby was like,
the baby didn't
her
like
heart
that.
rate was like dropping a little when we did that. And so we were like, okay, the doctors came in. They were like, what are you guys doing? And so we had tested out a couple of different positions. And then finally my doctor was like, I think that's when Dr.
Well, they came in. She got there around.
I was like
9
9
centimeters or something like that.
by the time she got
there.
No,
you weren't 9 yet. You were 8 still because she got there around 8 something.
Oh, okay.
And she came in. She spoke. This is when what was the other doctor?
I can't remember her name.
All
the doctors were phenomenal. They were
phenomenal.
Yeah.
But anyway, like the doctor that was on the shift, she was great.
Yeah.
She was taking care of Aaron perfectly.
Yeah.
But our doctor got there. She talked to us. Talked to the other doctors on shift to make sure everything was going good. 9 o'clock comes. They're like, you're 9 centimeters. Mm-hmm. Water's broken. So actually, they were like, your water is itching to break, and it's just not breaking. When we first
got there, that's what they said.
So it was like, we're going to break your water because, one, she had the gestational diabetes, so they wanted to, get this thing going. But they broke her water, and I'm talking about by the time they broke it and she was coming out, like the doctor, she went to 9 centimeters.
Yeah.
And that was actually the longest stint of a centimeter that day. So mind you, we were only 5 hours in or so at this point.
Yeah. Like
something
the labor
that
was going really fast.
It's happening so quick. We can't even we can think, but not think like, okay, we can relax through this one, or like it was just going.
Yeah.
So 9 centimeters from like 9. That's like 9:30ish up until 11:45. Mm-hmm. Doctor comes in. She was like, "You're ready to push."
Yeah, and she's like, "Do you feel the urge to push?" And I was like, "No, I don't feel anything."
And she was like, "Oh, that's not."
She was like, Aaron, we're gonna have to turn the epidural off because you need to feel the urge to push." She checked my cervix, and she was like, "This is where you need to push." Like she was pushing her fingers up against basically where the baby's head was, and like where I needed to channel my push. And I was like, I can't feel that. And she was like, okay, we have to turn the epidural off. And I was like, please, Dr. Moore, don't turn it off. I can't do it without the epidural. Like, she was like, Aaron, you can do it. Like, and so our doula was like, well, can we just do a practice push? And my doctor was like, okay, we could do a practice push.
And the practice push was not practice.
The practice push turned into a real push. I pushed with everything I could. I don't even know where I was pushing, but apparently it was the right place.
You were doing it right. They were like,
because
wow.
They were like, oh my God, she's coming.
Yeah.
And I was like, does she have hair? was the first thing I asked when like they were like, we can actually see her hair.
So this you were asked. You was like, I hope she has hair, and that's what I cling to. I was like, babe, I can see the hair.
Yeah.
And then you were like, huh? And then 2 more pushes there. So every contraction there was a total of 4 contractions, 3 pushes each contraction.
Yeah.
And 15 pushes total, and it took 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So basically,
it was the fastest delivery.
A minute per push. She got here right on her due date, not a second less at midnight.
Yeah. It was like a full moon.
It was a full moon and a blue moon. So that's a old wives' tale, whatever, right? Or something.
Like they say, a lot of babies are born on full moons.
But whatever, it really was something.
Yeah.
Full moon and a blue moon at that. But the crazy part to me was like she came not a second less.
Yeah. Because at the end, my doctor was like, "Okay, Aaron, slow down. You're actually pushing too hard. Like we don't want." We don't want you to like tear, or tear worse. So
she came like if she didn't slow her pushes down, which I'm still trying to figure out how she even felt anything, because you can see her slow down and like control the baby out. And had she not, the baby would have been born
the
at
day
11:59 the day before.
Yeah.
But when I tell y'all the baby slipped right on out, like I feel like the cartoon where they fly out. I promise you that's what she was about.
And that was the only thing I could feel. I could feel her entire body just like come out of me. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then they just plopped her right on my chest. And I was just so emotional. I was like, oh my gosh, this cannot be real.
It was crazy.
And I'm like, you've been in here all this time.
It was
crazy. I finally get to see you. So it was a very like wild experience.
My POV was different, but
yeah. Cameron, yeah, what did you think? You thought it looked gross, didn't you?
Hey man, listen, I get it. The whole is beautiful and all that. The theory is beautiful. The idea of the baby is beautiful. The process?
Well, the
visual process. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna, because I know it was just like I will never forget that ever in my life.
Yeah. We honestly thought he wasn't gonna
It happened so quick. I didn't even know I looked until after.
Yeah.
It was like I was locked in. I was in a whole nother like universe or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh shoot, I just looked at all of that. And then when and then when the baby came out, it was like like some gushing. I was like, oh shoot. Then that's when I was like, did I just watch all of that? I was like, whoa. So yeah, it was a very interesting but rewarding experience. I know people say you're gonna forget. At least for me, I'm never gonna forget that. I don't know how you can at all.
Well, they say
the
mom forgets the pain of like bearing, like labor and delivery.
Yeah, hey, that's fine. The pain or whatever you want to call it. There's different parts of the process than the pain. So
yeah,
yeah.
But it was a very good experience overall. Like our doctors, I feel like for me, there's a lot of fear surrounding childbirth, and I just wanted to not like put that on myself, you know? I think a lot of women are just so scared to give birth because you hear how painful it is, or just like
but it's
horror
also black
stories.
Women specifically.
Yeah. And so for one, I was very intentional about the doctor I picked, and that like in itself helped ease so much of my anxieties towards having a baby.
Yeah.
But also it's like once you're pregnant, you don't have a choice. Like the baby has to come out. So I was like, I am just gonna focus as much of my energy and thoughts on having a positive experience. And my pregnancy was so smooth. The labor was fast. And I also think it attributes to like eating pretty well, especially like during that last trimester, going on so many walks, just staying positive, having a supportive husband. Like those things really helped make the delivery so smooth.
Yeah.
And then once we got to the hospital, just having such a great team that was caring for me, that made a huge difference. But I hope women don't feel like, I hope someone watches this and feels like excited, because once I started feeling contractions, I was like, oh my gosh, yay. Like I was so ready to kind of just have the baby. And I think that's the difference between when you're not pregnant, you think about having the baby in more of a fearful way versus when you are pregnant and you've gone through the 9/10 months of carrying the child. I feel like it mentally and physically prepares you for giving birth. So by the end of the pregnancy, you're not as anxious as you were before you were pregnant thinking about giving birth. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that also makes a big difference. But, put your mind on the positives.
Yeah,
because
I would say Erin, she was extremely positive through the whole thing, even when we found out she had gestational diabetes. And I think this is the learning curve too with that. It doesn't matter technically how healthy you are per se. It has something to do with the placenta specifically.
Yeah.
And everybody's placenta is different. It doesn't matter how good you eat, or some people eat horrible. And we were going in like, oh, I thought you had to eat horrible to, eat like this. And then even my sister, her mom was like, oh, if we ain't have it, you definitely ain't. So, like, even with that, like it wasn't that big of a deal. It's not like she had to do anything different. She just had a more controlled diet, more intentional diet, I should say. Not even controlled. Like, she had to eat very intentionally.
And I had to do sugar testing after all of my meals, which that was annoying. But I mean, it was fine. I rather had done that than had to been on medicine
or insulin and stuff like that. But other than that, you did a great job. You were definitely positive, and I think that's why we had such an amazing labor and delivery.
Yeah,
because I don't think we put pressure on ourselves, and you absolutely didn't put pressure on yourself. I think you going in saying, "Oh, I'm going to be excited," and as soon as I go into labor, which you were, other than in between.
Yeah, because at one point he was like, "Is this fun? Like, are you?" No, he was. What did you ask me?
No, because you were like,
"Are you having fun?"
No, I didn't say were you having fun. I just said like.
Is it as bad as?
Yeah, because you were like, we were laughing in between, so it's like it would happen, and then you'd be like, "Oh," and then we would laugh about something, and then.
Well, the thing about the contractions, you were like, is this as bad as your worst workout? And I'm like, this has nothing on my worst workout.
I was trying to ask because I'm like,
but the thing about the contractions are they came in waves. So I could feel it building, and then it would peak, and then I could feel it kind of coming off. And so in between the contractions, you feel totally normal. But it's during the contractions that was just terrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
But also with each contraction, I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit closer to meeting my baby. I have to go through these contractions in order to get her. So that's the thing too. Is just I don't know, just trying to take it for what it is.
Yeah, I think too that how you labored and how you delivered is how you typically go through things, and then how she came was literally you to a T. You're never on time, but you're right on time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you were 5 minutes late typically, but this time you're not on time, but right on time.
Yeah.
So, which is a joke in our house, but it was you. I think that you called it out. I don't think you could have called it any better. Not that you called because we thought she was gonna come earlier, but I feel like you called out how it was going to go. Mm-hmm. And I believed it. That's what we prayed about.
Yeah.
Together
we're gonna
individually,
have a smooth, quick labor and delivery.
Yeah, and that's what it was.
Yeah, and it was funny because our doctor, when she came in, my mom was like, "Do you think she'll be born today?" And she was like, "No, she's definitely gonna be born tomorrow." And then, literally, if I didn't slow down, she would have been born on that day.
On that day, we got there.
But my doctor, everyone was like, "You seem like you've done this before." And I was like, I had to get her out. I just had to. So overall, it was a really good process. Cameron, you did great. So supportive. It was so nice to have a doula too.
So my
our cousin was our
the
doula.
Yeah. Which 10 out of 10 recommend. Even though it's a family member, she was very professional.
And
she only became a cousin before and after.
But during she was time, straight doula mode.
Straight business. So I appreciated that from you. When she is accepting new clients, we will
let you guys know.
Update her information for you. We even will have them on the podcast because so she's married into my family, and her and my cousin that she's married to, they actually came over to teach us together, and they have such a sweet team together. If you know me and Aaron, we love that. We love when couples know how to work together. We love when couples can feed off one another. We love when couples know what each other has going on, how to do what they're doing, understand what they're doing, like you're invested. So like that's what they are examples of. And this was like one of the biggest examples because it's just like, wow, you helped us deliver our baby. So
Yeah.
We appreciate you when you see this, but yeah.
Yeah.
I highly recommend a doula.
Yes, because in the heat of the moment, at one point I was like, I don't know if we need one because like I knew you were gonna be there and my mom was gonna be there.
Yeah.
But in the heat of the moment, I'm like, I'm so glad we had one because it's just so much going on. Things are moving fast, and then also like you're in excruciating. Well, I was in very excruciating pain during some of my contractions, and like. It's nice when someone is very calm, like her energy was very so calm and like just kind of knows how to step in.
But here's the thing though. This is where I think on my end, you didn't even want me to touch you.
Yeah.
So like what she told us to do, I couldn't even do because you didn't want me to do anything. So I was doing all those things, but
there were some contractions where I was holding
you would hold me. I couldn't touch you though. You would have to touch me.
Yeah.
Like you were leaning into my stomach and stuff.
Yeah.
And like holding my arm. But anything that they said do, you were like, no.
We did the whole hug one too though. A couple of times.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah, at home. By the time I got to the hospital,
you're like,
it was,
don't touch me.
Yeah, I'm like,
to everybody.
And that's the thing is like having like for husbands or whatever, like not being sensitive when your wife doesn't want something. Because like, I'm just glad you were just not like irritated by how I was.
Do I be irritated with you?
No, you don't. But I'm just saying, I'm glad in that moment you weren't taking things personally. Because the heat of the moment, when you're in the middle of a contraction, it's like, I don't care who you are. Like, don't do the thing that I don't like. That's making me
worse.
Yeah, that's making things worse.
Yeah.
So, and then there was a moment where I was like, okay, fan me because I was getting hot after each contraction.
That's what I went to the car for. I had to go to the car to get the fan.
And then he tried to fan me while I was contracting. And I was like,
no,
do not do that. That is terrible. So it's just like in the heat of the moment, it was certain things where I was just like very adamant about vocalizing.
It was cool though. Great experience.
Yeah.
Overall, the doctors, the team, the whole I guess day and a half we were in the hospital, like everybody was
super attentive.
So it got to a point where I had to start asking like, did y'all have training? Like, is everybody this nice? Because you go to a hospital, you usually run into at least one or two people who are just like off. And it's just like, who did what to you today?
Like a grumpy nurse or something.
Yeah, so I appreciated that. We had a very great experience, and I hate hospitals, so for that matter, they made it comfortable, but I still couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah. And then she came, and now we have her, and she is a sweet, sweet girl. Such a doll. Such a good baby.
Currently knocked out.
Yes, knocked out. And we're going to post some pictures. Well, at this point, they're already on our on-demand fan page, and probably we'll tag Sips of Success and me and him. Like, all the pages will have the pictures. But we've just kind of been getting adjusted, and just, you know, the first week we stayed with my mom or my parents.
Yeah.
And, yeah, because my dad's going to be like,
let me give my man his shout out.
But no,
he cooked breakfast for us every day.
So helpful.
He took off from work. Yeah. And stuff. So he
took a whole week off. He had a granternity leave.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. He cooked, he grilled for us, cooked for us every day.
They were. I mean, that was
ran to the store multiple times. Yeah. Like, you know, they kept the baby. He got up and walked throughout the night with the baby.
Yeah.
So, man,
now he's gonna be like, see my son.
Hey, I got you. I got you.
But yeah, it was so nice. Like, they had a whole room set up for us, and just. It was helpful because my parents live in a ranch too, so I didn't have to worry about going up and down the stairs, and it was just nice to have so much like built-in support that first week when I was also trying to just heal because that was a whole thing. It's crazy
because the hardest part was not the baby.
Yeah, the hardest part was
you.
Me. Yeah, like the recovery and the breastfeeding and all of that.
Yeah, but it was like a lot.
So all of that's going well now, and we just kind of needed a break to just.
You want to let everybody know your new name?
You can let them know my new
name. I mean, I've said beautiful wife, but honestly, she's the champ. Her name has been. I don't even change names in my phone ever. I mean, she's changed her name in my phone. It was wife that you changed it before.
Mm-hmm.
I changed it to Champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause Champ, and even still today, like you've been balling out, killing it.
Thanks,
so,
babe. Yeah.
Like month in, like
Thanks,
you
babe.
that one for sure.
You've been great too. Like it's just so cool to see him as a dad and like us in this dynamic working together in a different way. Because it's just a constant, like it's constant.
It's rinse and repeat, but it's a lot of movement.
Yeah.
We don't put pressure on one another. There's no like.
We don't have like a super regimented routine.
I don't think there's a expectation. I think whoever is falling into place in that moment, like fall into place. Like at night, I let Erin get her sleep. She does wake up to pump, but like she doesn't wake up with the baby at night, which the baby only wakes up one time. And
yeah, she's such a good sleeper.
Yeah, and it's in the morning. So right now, this later time has been at 5 o'clock. So like today, I got up at 5 and then I just stayed up, went to the grocery store. Can't believe. Oh, I've been doing more grocery store shopping than I have ever done in my life.
Yeah.
But we just we don't put the expectation to like, oh, it's your turn, or it's just whoever has the baby or who's ever open or whatever at that moment, like whatever.
Yeah.
She is the very first diaper I've changed ever in my life. It's not that hard that I thought it would be. But I am glad that I got to save that for my own child.
Yeah.
But we could talk about a lot of other stuff going forward.
Yeah, we can, for sure.
But the thing people are probably waiting
Everyone's
for is,
wondering what is her name? Okay, so her name came from me, honestly, just like looking at names. And I was like, oh, I like this one. And it was so funny because when I heard the name or when I saw the name, I was like, oh my gosh, it just stuck. But I was so nervous to tell Cameron because I just really thought he was going to hate it. And he honestly didn't really like any of the names that I had suggested. And so I was like, he's really not going to like this one. But I told it to him and he was like, oh, I like that. And then her middle name, I just was like, I like this name. I think it sounds nice with her first name. And so I told him the whole name and he was like, oh yeah, I like that. And
I was like, let me confirm.
Yeah. So then he was like, let him confirm. So I'm going to say the name and then we can
get into it.
Give a little bit more context. So her name is River
Psalm.
Yeah. River Psalm. And we love it. It's just so
Once
cute.
Erin said River, there was no other name that really mattered to me. I had nothing to do with picking the name. I just had to verify.
Confirm it.
Yeah. Like say yes or no. But once River came, like that's what it was for me. And then Psalm, I was like, let me verify what Psalm, because I don't just want to reference without an actual reference just because it sounds nice, which it does. But
we wanted to make sure that it
stuck out so much like a sore thumb. And I was reading the book of Psalm.
Well, I guess it did stick out like a sore thumb.
I think I read the book for like 3 days, every morning for like 3 days straight. And I finally landed on Psalm 46:4. There is a river. It streams the light, the city of God, the holy dwelling place of the Most High. God is within her. She would not be toppled. God will help her when the morning dawns.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
We were like, what?
Oh, and plus, like I said, we've mentioned before, we weren't necessarily trying, but she was meant to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And without God, like, hey, this is one of the best things that has ever happened to us, which we weren't necessarily prepared for. Mm-hmm. And we like to be prepared if you know us. But,
well, we were prepared, but like we weren't
mentally
necessarily ready.
Yeah, we weren't mentally prepared, like, oh, this is about to happen now. Yeah. But yeah, it's so amazing. It's been a thrill so far.
Yeah.
Something has unlocked that I never thought would unlock in myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so River Psalm, welcome to our world.
Yeah. And I think too, like her name just represents for me, like, or for us, just River is like being strong and being like knowing like their flow through life and like having direction and just kind of, we want her to embody that. Yeah. Like, yes, exactly. So we're so excited to see her little self grow up and just like be parents to her and hopefully just like raise a amazing little human.
Yeah, and she can't wait to see her sprout into who she's going to be.
Yeah.
And we were definitely intentional about the name for sure because we wanted that to be a representation of herself when she becomes into herself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's so funny, though, because we revealed her name at the baby shower, and I think some people, like, were like, that's cute-ish. Like, that's a little different. People. Yeah, well, a lot of the older people were like, you know, but like everyone else loves her name. But dang it, I forgot where I was going with that. I was gonna say it was a point I was making, but I can't even remember.
She still has mom brain.
Yeah.
But anyway, this
brain.
is.
But anyway, this is going on too long. Yeah. So, anyway, go follow us on all the pages on Demand Fam Sips of Success so you guys can see actual pictures of her. She's knocked out right now, but we took some newborn pictures here at the house. And
we self-did them.
Yeah, they turned out really good though. So, but yeah, welcome to parenthood for us.
Let's go.
And we're excited to just share more about all of this as we go.
So she's here now.
She is here.
What are you doing?
It was like a piece of lint here.
Oh, okay.
All right, you guys.
All right. If you rock with me, then you rock with us. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye. Say bye-bye.